In today's video, I will be doing a brief review and ranking every single Sharon Miller era character introduced in Thomas and Friends. So I will be ranking them best to worst because I'm going to save the worst for last because I know a lot of you fans like seeing Thomas YouTubers complain. So why not just save the worst character for last? Anyways, so there's a lot to cover because there is a total of 21 characters introduced in the Miller era, and I'm including every season and all four specials. So this is going to be a long train ride. So let's get started with by far my favorite character introduced in the Miller era. And just a disclaimer, guys, I'm not going to include characters that don't really have faces or personalities, such as Old Wheezy or Hee Haw, because they're not even characters very much. So yeah, just so you guys know. And by far, my number one favorite Miller era character is Hiro. I absolutely love Hiro, everything about him. But I mostly just like his design. I like engines with smoke deflectors for some reason, and I'm really into big engines. Yeah, he's definitely my favorite Miller character. And I also do love that he's not brightly decorated in his home flag like Young Bao or Raoul. He's just not the obvious stereotype. And what I also like about Hiro is just his personality, man. Like his episodes didn't start to shine until season 17 in the Brenner era, which is the good episodes. But as said, I like his personality, kind of being a gentle giant, can be strict sometimes when the other engines are being wimpy. But I especially love this scene in the Miller era. Just watch this part.
The logging locos biffed and bashed. They smashed, crashed. They giggled and jiggled as the logs leapt and flew. Then Hiro whistled loudly. Please, Thomas, I would like this to stop.
Yes, Hiro is really relatable sometimes. Yes, in that scene, he was basically Murdoch. He's basically Murdoch 2.0. Yeah, I just love that personality. And yes, Murdoch is one of my favorite characters in the model era. And yeah, I just love his personality. Honestly, if I was watching those three terroristic, stupid engines like playing that logging game, I would lose it too. I would tell them to shut the F up. If there was one thing I didn't like about Hiro, it's just that his plot and his backstory doesn't really make sense. Like, it doesn't make sense that he was the first engine on Sodor, because it was really Neil that was the first engine on Sodor. And it also didn't make sense that he went home right after Hero of the Rails and came back at season 14, like less than a year later. But overall, Hiro gets a 10 out of 10. That's how much I love this character. Anyways, let's move on to number 2. And second place goes to Paxton. He is also one of my favorite Miller era characters out there. I just love how he's just a kind diesel. He shows that not all diesels are bad and not all diesels are grumpy. Yeah, he's just likable. He's nice. And in some episodes, we could kind of see him being so helpful that he doesn't even do his own jobs, and he just helps other engines, even though the other engines may be a dick to him. Kind of like that diesel episode where he runs out of fuel. And we kind of see the more strict side of him when he kind of yells at Diesel when Diesel is acting like an asshole as usual, like when he bumps into other engines. And I also like how Paxton can kind of act dumb in a funny way, like in that Forever and Ever episode. Gordon wants to fill up with diesel fuel because of his mental attitude in that episode, and Paxton says, "Wait, Gordon, you forgot your diesel fuel." And yes, if there was one thing to complain about Paxton, it would be how he was used as a character in Day of the Diesels. Like, he didn't have any lines at all, he didn't speak, it was just a background character. And yes, I know they might have not known what to do with Paxton until Blue Mountain Mystery, but just seeing how he's used as a character in today's world, it just doesn't seem like Paxton would like join Diesel 10's club of jerks, like taking over the Steamworks. He just doesn't seem like he would do that. But yeah, I could understand why they didn't really know what to do with him until Blue Mountain Mystery. But overall, Paxton gets a 9.5 out of 10. I love this character also. Anyways, let's move on. And my third favorite character in the Miller era is Victor. I don't like Victor as much as Paxton and Hiro just because Victor is kind of a minor character even up to this day, but Yeah, he's a likable character, definitely. He's in charge of the steamworks, fixes engines, just shunts around freight cars in there, and sometimes goes to help the narrow gauge engines when they need to be fixed. And probably one of my most favorite parts about Victor is he's not the obvious diverse stereotype where he's just brightly painted like the Cuban flag. And yes, I really do love his backstory in Blue Mountain Mystery. I like how they expanded his character a little bit, give him more character development, and I especially love this part.
Do you have a job to do, Spencer? Or are you just going to stand here gossiping? You're taking up a lot of track.
Spencer was shocked.
No one speaks to me like that.
Yes, I love that part where he roasts Spencer. Anyways, yeah, I give Victor a 9 out of 10. Let's move on. All right, my fourth favorite Miller era character is Luke. I really like Luke. Yeah, he's definitely one of the best looking narrow gauge engines, in my opinion, when it comes to his design, even though he's not my favorite narrow gauge engine. But I also love his green livery, and green is my favorite color, like the tone he has. Not too bright of a green like Henry or Percy, but he's also a really relatable character. Like, I would feel really guilty too if I accidentally pushed someone into the sea and they didn't drown, but they would have to go to the hospital for like a few weeks to a month. Yeah, I would feel probably as guilty as him. Like, I would go hide away. But there is one thing I do not like about Luke, and honestly, if it wasn't for this scene of like 10 seconds or less, I would maybe put Luke higher than Victor on this list. But just watch this part.
Please listen. I don't want to listen to you ever again.
Yes, that 2-second scene just completely ruins Luke's character. Even in the Brenner era, I was still pissed about that scene. I mean, I guess I'll give it a little bit of a pass because, I mean, Luke did really feel guilty about it, and he's really scared that he might get sent away. So I could kind of see why he did that, but still, he could have at least listened to Thomas. Anyways, yeah, I'll give Luke an 8.5 out of 10. That's still a pretty good score. As I said, I'll give it a little bit of a pass. But yeah, he's mostly a likable character, but he could be a bit of a brat sometimes. Let's move on. All right, next up in the 5th place, the only battery-powered engine on Sodor, Stafford. I like Stafford. I know a lot of people don't really like Stafford because he's a Miller character, but I honestly really like this character. He's pretty underrated. He's not annoying like Charlie. He's likable. He has a really cool design. He's the only one of his kind, kind of like Timothy and Toby. And for some odd reason, his voice suits him perfectly. But the reason why I rank him lower than the other 4 is because, yes, he is a really minor character. Like, obviously, Sharon Miller just created Stafford just for merch. Like, he's a pretty underused character. He only has 2 episodes. Like, his debut episode in the Miller era is just him, basically Flora, basically just following around the engine that's gonna give him a tour of the island. But I am glad that Brenner expanded Stafford's personality a little bit in that episode called Steamy Stafford. That was actually a pretty good episode, But yeah, he's just a pretty underused character up to nowadays. But it does make sense that he does work in the shunting yards mostly and sometimes does short haul freight journeys because, yeah, his battery range isn't as good as a Steamy. But overall, I give Stafford an 8 out of 10. This is a really good character, and I hope we see more of him. All right, on to my 6th place, Sydney. I like Sydney, and I know what you guys are thinking. Sydney is practically a Brenner character because he only appeared in like 2 seconds in the Miller era, as you can see. But however, I'm still going to count this guy as a Miller character since he appeared in the Miller era first in that 2-second clip. But anyways, the reason why I like Sydney is just he's so relatable, just how relatable he is. Like, he's just a forgettable engine that forgets everything all the time. And honestly, I can't blame him. Like, if that fat hat would give me like 3 jobs per day, I probably couldn't keep track of it either.
First, you must take empty chicken cars to the farm and bring the chickens back to the docks. Then you are to deliver diesel oil to the quarry. And lastly, you have to take coal to the depot.
What did you say? I didn't quite pick that up. What cars do I take to the farm and where do I take them again? I didn't hear that. And where do I take diesel fuel? Yeah, Sydney is just so relatable. I'll give him a 7.5 out of 10. He's not my favorite character, but he is really relatable. All right, for our 7th and 8th place is Den and Dart. So yeah, these guys are all right. Honestly, between the two, I think I like Dart better, just because I think his design is a bit cooler, honestly. And yeah, I just think it's kind of funny that he always corrects Den. Like I feel like Den is the more dumber one between the two, honestly. And honestly, I like correcting people too. So Dart's pretty relatable with that. So that means Dart will get the seventh place and Den will get the eighth place. But I always found these guys kind of boring, so that's why I kind of put them in the middle here. But yeah, they're decent characters. They're kind of funny, not too annoying. So I'll give Dart a 7.3 out of 10 and Den a 7 out of 10. And also, I feel like they could have brought back Splatter and Dodge instead of introducing these two, but I don't think Splatter and Dodge would make a good repair diesels, anyways. But let's just move on. All right, on to my number ninth favorite Miller character, Scruff the Scruncher. I like this guy. He's all right. Not my favorite, but yeah, Scruff is pretty likable. He has a pretty cool design. And probably my most favorite part about him is he's just a hard worker. Like he doesn't care about what the other engines think. Kind of like Whiff. Like he doesn't mind getting dirty. And yeah, he got a few episodes. He got at least one Miller episode and one Brenner episode, kind of like Stafford did. But yes, I have a few problems about Scruff, and that's why I kind of rank him in the middle of the list here. For one, his US voice is pretty annoying. Like, I understand they tried to make him sound scruffy, but they just made his voice sound too dry and drunk, in my opinion. And also, I just think it's ridiculous that in his debut episode, he was so afraid of sponges and brushes. I think that's just ridiculous. Like, I understand how Hector was afraid of getting filled with coal, but I just think it's kind of ridiculous and quite annoying that he kept hiding in that one episode just because he was afraid to get cleaned. But also, we haven't really seen much of him, so otherwise, Scruff is a pretty good, okay character. I give him a 6.5 out of 10. All right, on to my 10th place, Winston, the inspection car. Winston's an all right character, definitely not my favorite, but I think inspection rail convertible is a pretty good add-on to the show. I like him. And yeah, he does have a pretty good role in the show, I guess. He had a few pretty good episodes actually, but he is also pretty relatable. Like I would be pretty pissed off too if I was just driven by someone. You could just tell in this picture that he just hates being driven by Fat Hat. But again, he's just a merchandise character. There isn't really much to him. Like he doesn't have any lines besides his two debut episodes he had, one in the Miller era and one in the Brenner era. So yeah, I'll give him a 6 out of 10. He's not my favorite character, but he's still a pretty good add-on to the show, I guess. Alright, we're halfway done. Let's get this over with. Anyways, in 11th place, we got Kevin the Crane. So, Kevin's okay. He's just meh. Let's cover the good stuff about him. So, he's likable, he's bubbly, he definitely has a cool design, that's for sure. And yes, he had a pretty good episode actually in the Brenner era, and he actually still has a good role even up to this day. He just works at the Steamworks, and anyways, yes, Kevin's cranky friend is his best episode in my opinion. It is part of the Brenner era. In that episode, he's pretty much used as a good character, a good realistic character, where he's just helpful and he just he's like organized. He just gets the dock in a good condition. So that's what I like about Kevin. But the bad stuff about Kevin now, he just acts too much like a kid. He's just stupid in all of his other episodes, especially the Miller ones. Even his other Brenner episode, like Snow Place Like Home, he was just acting stupid in that episode. Like all he does is just drop stuff all the time. He just laughs all the time. Yeah, he just wants to be a steamy all the time. That one Miller episode, and he just acts like a kid and falls down a lot, and that's what annoys me about him. So yeah, I give Kevin a 5.5 out of 10. He's not the worst character, but he's definitely not the best. Anyways, let's move on. All right, on to my number 12th place. We got Owen the Incline Winch. So yeah, there's just nothing to this character. I guess he's likable. He's, I guess, friendly. He likes doing his job. Yeah, there's just nothing to him. I just don't have much to say. Apparently, he can't lift up Thomas very well, so he probably can't lift up any of the narrow gauge engines, even though those carts full of rocks probably weigh not much less than the narrow gauge engines. But yeah, I'll just give Owen a 5 out of 10. Just a merchandise character. Not bad, not very good, but yeah, let's just move on. All right, for our number 13th place, the unlucky number, we got Merrick. And just like Owen, there is nothing to this character at all. All he does is just sleep throughout the movie, and every time we see him, and he just like greets Peter Sam all the time. Yeah, he's just so boring. I'll just give him a 4.5 out of 10. I think I dislike him more than Owen, but he's not too bad, I guess. All right, on to our number 14th place. We got Charlie, the number 14th engine. Oh, Charlie. As purple as violet, as annoying as ever. For one, his jokes are really bad. For two, his whistle is really annoying. Ugh. For three, just look at that face. He's hiding something. I know it. I definitely know it. For four, he just wants to make trains late just so he could have fun. And for five, he tells engines they're too old to have fun, or they're not no fun at all, which is really bratty. But even though Charlie's bratty and as annoying as ever, I honestly don't see him quite as bad as some Thomas YouTubers picture him. I mean, there are some good things about Charlie, and that's why I kind of rank him higher than some other bad characters, which I'm going to get to soon enough. But for one, his CGI render is amazing. He definitely has a lot of detail on him. He's much better looking than Billy, in my opinion. And also, he had a pretty good Brenner episode. His Brenner episode actually wasn't bad at all. That was actually a pretty good episode. But overall, I give Charlie a 4 out of 10. Still a pretty bad character otherwise. All right, for the number 15th place, we got Ferdinand. So I do understand why pretty much every Thomas fan hates this character, and I'm forced to agree. Like, he's about just as annoying as Bash and Dash. He says "that's right" at least 17 times in the movie, and at least 10 more times in the seasons and episodes we see him in.
That's right!
But despite Ferdinand being about as immature as Bash and Dash was, I honestly don't see him that bad. Like, I definitely like him a lot better than Bash and Dash, and here's why. His design is really cool. He's definitely one of the best looking engines in the Miller era, honestly, in my opinion, when it comes to his design. And I like how he's based off of an American design, I believe, because I live in America. I live in Minnesota myself, but I also love his color. Yeah, I'm a big fan of like darker green and blue color, so I love his color too. Overall, I'll give Ferdinand a 3.5 out of 10. Still a pretty bad character, but if they had fixed him up a little bit, like maybe made him like the wise guy out of the three and maybe say "that's right" a little less, then I would probably like this character much better. But overall, he's still a pretty bad character, but otherwise, he's not all that bad. Okay, in the 16th place, we got Captain the Lifeboat. Now, I don't necessarily hate this dude, but the reason why I have Captain kind of low on the list here is just how underused and forgettable he is. Now, to start off, Captain is probably one of the most forgettable characters in the show. I'm not making that up. Like, we see Captain on the title right there, or on the front cover, whatever you want to call it, but it looks like he would have a major role in the show, but all the scenes we see Captain in the movie, he only got a total screen time of 1 minute and 25 seconds out of like an hour-long movie, and I think that is absolutely ridiculous. And not only is Captain so underused, but also, he does not have a personality whatsoever. Like, he only had a few lines in the movie, like 2 or 3, and then after the movie, when he just appeared in like 1-second clips in like the seasons, he didn't say anything at all, so yeah, Captain is just so bland. And also, not only did Smudger only appear in one 4-minute episode, but he had like half the screen time of Captain, like about 40 seconds maybe at the most. But every Thomas fan remembers Smudger because he actually had a much bigger personality than Captain had. Like, he was reckless and then he got turned into a generator, and everyone pretty much remembers that. And that just goes to show you that Captain is just so underused and forgettable. But don't get me wrong, I might have been a little too harsh on Captain actually, but he's not all that bad. There's some good stuff about him. Like, I love that he was used at the end of Sodor's Legend of the Lost Treasure where he arrested the pirate. And yeah, Captain's just likable, I guess, when he speaks. Or yeah, when he does stuff. So overall, I'll give Captain a 3 out of 10. Alright, in the number 17th place, we got Norman. And yes, Norman does suffer pretty much the same stuff Captain does. Like, he's just a forgettable merchandise character with no personality whatsoever. And he does not speak at all in Day of the Diesels, and he only has like a few lines, like in later seasons. But the one thing I hate most about Norman, and this is why I put him lower than Captain, it's the fact that Norman just popped out of nowhere and replaced Dennis. Why couldn't they just bring back Dennis, for God's sake? Like, they used the same exact model, and plus, Dennis is by far my favorite new series character that was introduced in that era. But seriously, like, I understand that it wouldn't really make sense for a lazy Diesel to be part of the team to take over the Steamworks, but it's better than, like, getting rid of old characters and introducing new characters who are pretty much the same thing. But, overall, I'll give Norman a 2.5 out of 10. Yeah, pretty bland character. Alright, in the 18th place, we got our boy Flynn, who thought the firebox was on fire. So, I bet every Thomas fan knows why this character sucks, and I'm just gonna go through the long list. There's so much wrong with this character, so let's get this over with. So, first of all, at the start of Day of the Diesels, Bell talks about Flynn like he's like a god or a hero or something, but when he first arrived to Sodor, he was extremely and unbelievably rude to Cranky, and his voice is extremely annoying. And he's just an impatient little shit. Like, when a fire goes off, or the alarm goes off, I should say, he won't wait and freaking listen to which engine is on fire. He's just so dumb. And he just wanders all over the island for no particular reason, and he does not know what a fire looks like. He's obviously blind. Like, he just asked every blue engine without looking to see if there's a fire. He's a fire truck. He's supposed to know what a fire is. That's like the least thing you should complain about or can't find. And also, he's extremely wimpy on the roads. Like, his face just turns red every time he gets laughed at. And because of his own wimpiness, guess what? He's extremely late to come put out the fire, and frankly, I'm glad he got scolded by Sir Topham Hatt in his few Miller episodes. He deserved it. And also, another big problem I have with Flynn, he talks way too much when it's an emergency. Just look at this clip.
I am Fiery Flynn. I am Sodor's firefighter. I want to be a hero.
Okay, we get it. Just put out the damn fire before it spreads, you idiot. Yes, Flynn is just a terrible character, but don't get me wrong, though. There is one or two things I do like about Flynn. Like, for example, he could go on both rails and roads. That's the only character on Sodor that could do that, and I kind of like that concept. Like, there is actually real vehicles in real life that could do that. And I also do like that he was fixed a little bit in the Brenner era, but overall, yeah, Flynn's just a terrible character otherwise. I'll give him a 1.5 out of 10. I mean, we have 3 more characters, or engines, I should say, after this. So let's just get those over with, and then we'll end the video. Alright, in our 19th place, second to last place, we got, of course, our troublesome twin logging losers, Bash and Dash. So I'll just count these two as one character because they're basically the same thing, just a copy of one another, and Dash, I think, has freckles and Bash doesn't. But so all of you guys probably know why I hate these characters, so I'm not going to spend too much time on these guys like I did with Flynn a minute ago, but you guys just know why I hate these guys. They're annoying as ever. They, like, pretty much half the time we see these two, they're just laughing their butts off. I'm so sorry if I kind of jump scared you guys. Anyways, these two are also total rip-offs of Bill and Ben, even though they returned, but also, these guys are probably the most annoying characters. Like, these two are probably the most annoying characters in the whole Thomas franchise, and I'm including characters as early as the troublesome trucks like these guys, and I'm also including characters as late as, like, Woba characters like this engine right here, and I'm not going to say her name. And these guys are just complete annoying, but as I said, I'm not going to spend too much time on these guys. I'll just give these guys a 1 out of 10. I mean, I do like their designs, however. They actually have pretty cool designs, so I'll give them a bit of credit, but they still get a 1 out of 10. They're terrible characters. Anyways, they don't quite top my number 1, so let's get to my number 1. Let's get that over with. And before I get to my least favorite Miller character, please give this video a like and subscribe, will ya? And guys, just so you know, if you disagree with any of this on this list, please comment down below. I want to know why. It's okay if you disagree, but this all is just pretty much my opinion. But anyways, by far, my least favorite character in the whole Miller era that was introduced in this character is completely useless, but it is Belle. So there is so many stuff I hate about Belle, and yeah, I'll probably be talking about her more than Flynn, so buckle up because this is going to be a pretty bumpy ride, so let's begin. To start us off, Belle is a complete ripoff of Arthur. Seriously, why can't they just bring back some of the good characters from the model era? Seriously. And for a second, she basically has a crush on Toby in that one season 15 episode. Seriously, she won't leave him alone. And her voice is more annoying than Flynn's.
Right away, sir!
Her whistle is as annoying as ever.
Blue.
And she won't stop ringing that stupid bell of hers.
She rang her big brass bell. It was the
Shut
loudest bell
up,
the
it's so
passengers had
annoying.
ever heard.
Yeah, and the most annoying, too. But now let's talk about the elephant in the room, and this is by far the most thing I hate about Belle. The fact that she has water cannons on her tanks. I think this is completely useless and just so unrealistic and stupid. Who came up with this shit? Like, this is something you would see in like a action movie, like a Paw Patrol or something. Like the reason why I think this is so stupid is that there's just water cannons on a freaking steam locomotive that could only go on rails. I think this is like really stupid. I mean, at least Flynn could go off the rails, like on the roads too. So I like Flynn a lot better than Belle, honestly. But here's the thing. So say if Flynn is busy doing something else, like putting out another fire, and there's like another fire on the island of Sodor, and Belle is the only one available that could put out the fire, and Belle goes to the fire, but the only problem is the nearest track to the fire is like too far away, and Belle cannot reach it with her cannons, and she can't do anything but just let the fire burn down. So that just goes to show you that Belle is just a useless character, and it gets even worse. So after she puts out the fire, guess what? She runs out of water. Yeah, Belle is just so useless. I mean, any other tank engine or engine could put out the fire just like Belle did, except without the cannon. So I think Belle should at the very least have a separate tank for her water cannons to put out the fire, not just include the same tank she uses to like chuff. I'm giving Belle a 0.5 out of 10. That's how much I hate this character. By far my least favorite Miller character. She's just so unrealistic, and I'm including characters like Cleo, freaking Cleo, the road engine, who can apparently drive herself. Like, Belle is even more unrealistic than her. Anyways, so I hope you guys enjoy this video. Yeah, I'll definitely upload much more Thomas videos to come on this channel. Yeah, I'm just starting this channel, so you guys will probably see many more Thomas videos coming. So, anyways, yeah, stay safe out there. Have a good day, everybody.